I want to thank you for letting me present to you. It's been very few times that I've had that privilege, and I always treasure it every time I have that opportunity. Tonight I'm giving you a presentation that I presented last month to the Cincinnati IT Pro User Group, and they seem to enjoy it. So I figured if they didn't tar and feather me, you guys might enjoy it as well. So, and also July is a safe month. Not too many people come out. So I wanted to give you as much information as I could about the Surface, about this wonderful, wonderful new technology that Microsoft has that is really incredible. And I'll be using the Surface up here for that. You may notice I don't have a Surface 3. And the reason for that is my Surface 3 will ship August 1 because I wanted an i7 processor. I didn't want to take an i5, which is nothing wrong with them. They're fine. They're great machines, but I wanted the i7. So I held out until August, which is killing me, but, you know, I want to do it. The Surface MVP program is really a unique one. I've been in the MVP program now for 12 years, and I've been very, very blessed to have received those awards, and I'm very humbled by it. There are wonderful, wonderful people in the MVP program. But the Surface MVP program is kind of different. I was really surprised when I was the first Surface MVP that was selected, and they required that you be already an MVP in the IT Pro arena. So they asked me if I was interested, and I said, you know, I was crazy about the Surface. You know, I think I bought the first one in Charlotte, and since my sister now has it, and then I got another one in Redmond, and my wife now has that. So I'm trying to hang on to this one, but it's up on eBay now because I'm trying to sell it so I get my Surface 3. And I will hang on to that one. But the MVP program is a way for Microsoft to acknowledge individuals that are not just leaders in the technology or knowledgeable of specific kinds of technology, but also do things for the community. So 85% of the MVPs, and there's about 2,600 of us around the world, 85% lead user groups like this or associations of some kind. Next slide. You got it, okay. And Windows 8 was created as the software realization of a two-in-one. The Surface was designed not only to be a replacement or at least an addendum to a strong laptop, but it also encompasses an operating system that we're accustomed to, which is based on a Windows 7. But it incorporates the tiles. It was called the Metro, now it's called the True, it's called different things. But it has the look and feel that people have become accustomed to for tablets that are traditional. And the tablets being traditional like the iPad and a lot of other flavors that we've seen come out in Droid and so forth. And now we see a lot of tablets coming out with Windows 8.1. Like them or not, the tiles are a way to get some things done. Yeah, you can do things pretty quickly with the tiles. Some people swear they don't want them. There's ways to disable that where it only comes into the Windows 7 operating system screen. And with 8.1, you have a lot of upgrades there that allows you to get back to a start button with a lot of useful features there that you can get to just by merely right-clicking. And it does work well with the mouse. The Surface integrates the Office 365 and other services seamlessly. How many of you use Office 365? Several of you. I have an Office 365 account of my own. They're very, very useful. I have now found that Outlook.com almost satisfies all the stuff that I need, and I no longer use Outlook, but that's me. I use Outlook.com. Next slide. So we have a device dilemma. You want a PC, and you want a tablet. So 90% of those people who own iPads also own a laptop. Now, why is that? Because the tablet does not satisfy the requirements that you need that a laptop provides, obviously. You need to get work done, or you need to get something done that takes, from your standpoint, a little more power, a little more ability. So Microsoft's challenge has been, okay, how do we make the tablet the most efficient and usable, valuable tool that you can have, not only for your personal life, but also to get your work done? Next slide. And that brings us to what Microsoft is really focusing on. The MVP program in the Surface division, all the MVPs are lined up in a vertical space. That is, you have financial, medical, education, entertainment. You have all these industries, aerospace, and MVPs are focused, each one of them, on that. Mine is the financial arena because I work for Wells Fargo. And so they wanted us to help them, to guide them on what the various industries that we were representative of are looking for and need in a device. Next slide. Here's some of the comments that have been made from New York Times, Examiner. I mean, they're talking about this thing's fabulous. It's wonderful. And of course, every new product, if it works halfway, people get excited about it. But over time, that's a good measure. Is the product sufficiently quality and usable that that excitement stays? With the Surface, it has. Next slide. So you see, a lot of the magazines are, raving and have been raving about the Surface. And we're seeing this repeated as Microsoft has gone through an evolution process with the Surface, starting with the Surface RT, then Surface Pro, Surface 2, Surface 2 Pro, and now Surface 3. Next slide. The Surface 2 and the Surface Pro 2 are the Surface family, but that's changing. Click the slide. The Surface Pro 2 is going away. There will be no more. The Surface Pro 3 is replacing it. And I have a video I'd like for you to watch. Now, during this presentation, I'm going to talk about all of the surfaces. I'm not just going to focus on one. While I am going to be talking about the Surface 3, I still want to remind you that there are other Surface models out there at lower cost that still do an enormous amount of work. Next slide. And I want to tell you about this fellow up on the screen. His name is Panos Panay. I'm honored to say he's a personal friend of mine. And he's the corporate vice president for Surface Computing at Microsoft Corporation Worldwide. He's responsible for the overall direction, strategy for the Surface business total. He's also responsible for all of the user experience and development of their hardware, such as mice, keyboards, webcams, and headsets. And before joining Microsoft, he was a program manager at NMBT Electrical Mechanical Division. He was responsible for the end-to-end development and manufacturing of products such as keyboard speakers and other electromechanical devices. And he shared with me that the whole time he was working at that job, he was enormously frustrated at the opportunity that he saw in technology to take mobility and make it into something great that was really, really powerful for getting work done, for enabling people to do things on the move. Because he saw the world changing. I mean, look at how much we've changed in 13 years and how we communicate, how everybody's tied in all the time. You can't afford not to be offline. Think about going a week to be completely offline. You dread coming back because you know what's going to be waiting. So you really have to manage your life, not day by day, but minute by minute. And the technology was, for a long time, lagging behind. helping that to happen. So he was frustrated about that. So when they approached him with the opportunity to come into Microsoft in a new division with a brand new kind of product that would open doors that had never been opened before and provide opportunities that had never been seen or thought of, he jumped on it. Of course, them paying him an enormous amount of money helped. But, you know, he's a very, very passionate guy. He believes very much in what they're doing. And he has his fingers in every aspect from the fundamental design through the manufacturing process. You know, you see if you get to know him, he's amazing. And I have a video I want you to watch of him talking about the Surface 3.
People take pride in the devices they buy today. They take a lot of pride. These are big decisions. The beauty of Surface today is we've been able to listen to so much customer feedback and what they want and what they need. We want a full-powered PC that can act like a tablet when I need it. Got it. But the trade-off had to be thin enough. It had to be light enough. It had to feel like the tablet I was buying. But more importantly, it had to work like the PC that I need. We had to find a way to transition people from grab a tablet, and when you're done consuming, put it down, and grab a laptop when you want to create. The transition wasn't put the tablet down, pick up the laptop. The transition became the kickstand. And it can disappear when you didn't need it, but we wanted to give our customers a choice on the angle that they chose on the product. I can pick any angle I want and I can set it on my lap. We coined a term, lapability. And so when the team sat back and said, what did lapability mean? It meant we were going to go find our customers, use it in their lap, and make sure this thing works on your lap like a laptop. We're able to take now the keyboard and click it into the screen. Now this happens naturally when you put it on your lap, and we've designed it as such. You now have not only a more ergonomic solution, but you have stability as if you were using a laptop in itself. The power of a Surface is the power of a PC. I think that's what gets lost sometimes. It is a tablet, for sure, and we call it the tablet that can replace your PC. But you can ask the question, why haven't others done this? I mean, I don't get it. How do you have a tablet and then still have the full power of the PC? Why isn't it just happening everywhere? And I think that's a good way to think about the innovation that's happened in this product. We designed the screen specifically to give you as much screen capture as you possibly could. We wanted to make sure that side-by-side apps looked perfect. We also knew larger was important for our customers, but we also optically bonded the screen. Now this is important because technically it makes the product thinner. Technically it lets us make the product lighter. But more importantly, it increases the contrast on the product by reducing the reflectivity of the product. People have been using the device, look at that, God, I just love it, I love it. Great, all good. Why? I don't know, it's just beautiful. Now that's everything coming together, but the one thing that just you look at all the time is the screen. The pen itself was designed to be able to accomplish what we called write as you think. Generally, the easiest way to write is pick up a piece of paper and grab your pen, click the top of it, and start writing. Now, in this sense, you'll see I just clicked the pen, and when I click the top of it, what I have is a full canvas to write on. And when I'm done taking my note, I can just click again. That note goes into the cloud. I won't lose it. It just went to every single one of my devices that I've ever had that's on Windows or OneNote on any platform. You'll find in our studies a lot of people write with just the tip, because somewhere they have this sense of, I don't want to put my hand down because I'm going to trigger something or activate something on the screen. We're able to now, you put your pen tip down and we know exactly where your hand is, so we're able to reject the palm as you write. And you can get very comfortable as if you're writing on a piece of paper. There's nothing on market this powerful and this thin. And when you pick it up, you're blown away. It is by far, the thinnest, most powerful product you're going to be able to buy. You want to create products that people love. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Panos got his MBA from Pepperdine University and his Bachelor of Science from California State. He has 4 children, and they live, surprisingly, in Washington State. Next slide. And as he said, they are billing the Surface 3 as a laptop replacement. And the reasons for that, larger screen, lighter form, run desktop apps like any other Windows laptop. There's no limitation. If you run it on your laptop now, it'll run on your Surface 3. It's touch friendly, it's completely mobile. You can dock it at your desk. I have a docking station that I use on this one. You set it in there, you close the 2 sides to it. My big screen is available to me as an extended screen instantly. My 3 terabyte backup drive is online. My mouse, online, everything. and it's being charged. Very neat, easy, and when I'm ready to go, pop it out and go. Because my wife doesn't trust the cloud, so I back up all of her email there so she can see it. That's why I have it, and she has a lot. Plus, I have all of our movies, pictures, and all of that stuff that she wants to look at. She doesn't trust the cloud. I do. All my stuff is on OneDrive. Next slide. Larger screen, it's thinner. How about that? They made this thing bigger and made it lighter. That is incredible to me. 2160 by 1440 display, 40% larger, yet 13% lighter than this, which is a Surface Pro 2. Next slide. On the left, we have an iPad Air. On the right, we have a Surface 3. Which one is lighter? This was not doctored. Next slide. Now, you saw in the video that hinge that they developed. They patented that. That is an incredible, incredible thing. Small thing, but this one has 2 positions. I can go 1 or 2. That's it, that's fine for most cases. But when you're sitting, let's say, I was thinking about when you're sitting in the airplane, you got this thing down, the guy in front of you drops down like this, It doesn't affect your Surface Pro 3. You just move it out. It lays right down. Still got your ergonomic design. Plus the fact, next slide. Plus the fact, if you'll notice, that really is a neat feature. I mean, if you got a chance to go to the Microsoft kiosk and handle one and see how that pops up there and gives you a perfect platform for typing. It relieves the strain on your wrists and everything. It's just great. And something they don't mention here or show, but the touchpad surface is 40% larger. So you've got a much larger place that you can use for your touchpad. Next slide. And you saw what he said. You can write just like you're writing on a paper tablet. Your hand there, it doesn't affect anything. It's just exact, and it works. I'm telling you, it works. You start writing, and when you click the top of the pen, it opens up OneNote, gives you a sheet of paper to write on. And we'll see some more. You can do more with that as well. So the next slide. And I have a little video about the pen for the Surface Pro 3 that I want you to see.
Surface Pro 3 comes integrated with OneNote, your very own digital notebook. You interact with OneNote using the new Surface Pen. Even when your screen is off, just click the pen to jot down a note. If you have another thought, simply click again to create a new page. Every note you take is automatically synced to OneDrive, so you can access it anywhere. Log in and unlock the full functionality of OneNote on the Surface Pro 3. Go to Recent Notes to quickly find your latest notes and organize them into custom notebooks. The Surface Pen and OneNote enable you to capture what you see. Just double-click the pen and select the region you want to clip. Then you can write on it to take notes. Surface Pro 3, the tablet that can replace your laptop. Get productive.
So how many of you use OneNote? Yeah, I do too. Invaluable, absolutely invaluable. You use it on if you have a Windows phone, it's right there for you. It's also available on some other platforms. On your laptop, on your notebook, on your desktop, whatever you got. How many of you use OneDrive? If you don't, I recommend you start using it. I mean, it's the best deal going, and it's fantastic. That's actually what this presentation is running off of. It's running off of OneDrive. Next slide. Now, this is a kind of a funny little device. And this is what they use to test the accuracy of the Surface Pro 3 pen. In accuracy, the ink needs to flow out of the tip of the pen exactly where it touches the screen. The Microsoft engineers for the Surface Pen perform a single test to validate their work in this area. A robot touches the display of Surface Pro every 2 millimeters on a grid across and up and down the glass, and then track the level of accuracy as the cursor moves across the screen. The results for Surface Pro show that they are within 0.5 millimeters. That's not much. 98% of the time. The impact is huge because it addresses something all of us have experienced but rarely know how to describe: the perceived parallax between pen tip and cursor. Compared to Surface Pro 2, there's a 50% more pixel and 38% more real estate. Yet 98% of the time, they're still within 0.5 millimeters accuracy. That's pretty incredible. Next slide. They are really, really trying to incorporate every bit of valid, critical suggestions that they receive, particularly from the business community. You see here it's available with 4G LTE. You can buy a Surface that will connect to your cellular carrier and give you constant. I don't know about you, but most of the time, my cellular connection is faster than my Wi-Fi. Next slide. .8.1 update features. How many of you using 8.1 now? About 3/4 of the room. We'll be giving away a copy or two tonight, so those of you that are not using it, maybe you'll win one and you start using it. Here's some of the features up here about 8.1. Power and the search buttons are now up on the start screen, as opposed to in 8, they were not there. Side-by-side apps, you can actually even squeeze in 3 on the touch screen. Extended MDM policies and IE compatibility. Pin apps to the taskbar. Right-click an app tile to see more options. It's a lot more functional to what we've been used to with Windows 7. All open and pinned apps appear in the taskbar, boot to the desktop. And minimize and close the right top button in modern apps. So you can go up there and there's an X like it was before. And that was based on user input. We want some of the things we had before, so they brought them back. Or they brought them. Next slide. The Surface family. Our devices, covers, accessories. Galen, you did a good job warming me up. You were the sound man. Okay. You can get adapters. The adapters you're looking at up there are to adapt to a larger screen. You can change some of these things. I have seen some guys running 3 screens off of a Surface. There's lots of different accessories you can get. There's covers. There's all manner of things. Charge accessories, mice, the docking station I mentioned, the Surface pens, and the covers, touch cover and type cover. How many of you have a Surface? Several. Did you select a type cover or a touch cover? How many type covers? How many touch covers? Okay. Personally, I like the feel of the key travel, so I selected a type cover. But the touch cover has something like 996 sensors in that little space. That's a lot. And so, your typing experience good on your touch cover? Hands up, yes. Okay. And that's because they have got so many sensors in that thing. It's just incredible. Next slide. One of the things that businesses really, really wanted was a warranty that was solid enough to where they didn't have to be replacing devices or realize replacement costs or repair costs over a period of time. And so they came up with some very, very nice warranties: accidental damage, extended hardware, and limited standard. Microsoft also offers a replacement coverage warranty for the Surfaces if you buy one from the kiosk. And if you do, I recommend you kick in the money for that. I think it's like $95 for a year, but it's worth it. If it gets stolen, it gets broken, whatever. But these things can break. They're tough. They're really tough. I can tell you this thing's been through it, but they can break. Next slide. The tablet meets the laptop. Surface devices were designed to be premium and productive. You go from the tablet with an on-screen keyboard to a laptop. Just open the kickstand and fold down the keyboard. So I've got a tablet right here right now that I can use with whatever I want, built-in keyboard. I go to a laptop just by doing this. Now I've got a laptop. That's the way the Surface works. On the type covers come in a variety of colors, a traditional keyboard experience. You can take notes, you can draw, you can edit documents. Surface 2 supports a capacitive pen, and the Surface Pro 3 comes with a Surface Pen that we saw demonstrated. The ports on the Surface are an advantage over other tablets because you can use displays and peripherals. Like I said, I use a large screen attached to my docking station. And so I have two screens. I use this and I extend it up to the other one. So it works great. I can actually be looking at my tiles on this one and my Win 7 screen up here, and I can have two different backgrounds. And I can have them both rotating, changing, not the same background. So you can do a lot of cool things with it.
Hey, Dave?
Yeah.
Does the touchpad, does the Touchpad and the touchpad both have, do they have a track pad? Do they have a mouse pad?
Yeah, they both have a touchpad. Yeah. Yeah, and on the Surface Pro 3, it's 40% larger. And it's very sensitive and works great. I use, for work, I use an IBM machine, laptop. And my Surface touchpad is actually better than the one on the IBM, on the laptop. I much prefer to use this than the one on that one. So, you know, I'm using them both all the time. Now, next slide. Apps and services. This down here at the bottom, this graphic is really kind of a graphic showing the growth of the apps in the store. And they were, at the same time, if you look at the same time from Apple's launch of their store through the first year, and Microsoft's launch of their store through the first year, it's still arguable there's a lot more apps in the Apple Store, but they've been around a lot longer. Microsoft's store grew 5 times faster in the same time frame of the first year of its existence. 5 times faster. So it's not going to take too much time before you're going to see those two stores come up to the same level. And the apps are increasing. Not only are they increasing in number, you will never add an app from the Windows Store that will corrupt your machine. It can't happen. It cannot happen. And that's something you can take to the bank. Next slide. Surface is durable. It is secure. Now, secure boot. The Surface has a couple of levels that a lot of people don't realize. This is one of the most secure machines in the world. Nobody's hacked them. And the reason is, every time this thing boots up, and it boots up in about 7 seconds from being turned off. That's fast. I'm logging in about 6 to 8 seconds, about 7 seconds. I'm logging in. So what happens? So when you log in, the system takes a look at your operating system. Has anything changed? It looks to see if anything has changed. It keeps a backup of the operating system in memory. That's one level. If something's changed, it throws that in there. If for some reason that didn't work like it's supposed to, or something else was remaining, it has on here what's called Windows on a chip. A chip inside here holding a complete, clean operating system. That if all else fails, it pulls that and installs that. And this happens in under 10 seconds. All of this checking, all of this making sure. That's why even if somebody hacked your device, the next time you boot it, their hacking is gone. Every single time. And these machines actually get faster over time. My Surface Pro 2 is quicker now than it was when I bought it. I can swear to you, it's at least a couple of seconds faster than it was the day I bought it, which has always blown me away. I keep thinking something must be wrong with this thing because nothing gets faster over time. This one does. They have a thing called optomechanical fusion used for the surface clear type display that not only reduces glare and improves image quality, but it also strengthens the whole assembly by mechanically coupling the cover glass, the LED, the impact absorbing optical bond between the two, and the durable frame. I've seen one of these opened up, and it's incredible looking inside there, what they have managed to put in this thing and how solid everything in there is. It's just incredible. Next screen. Now here we talk about the Surface Pro Enterprise. How many of you work in large corporations that deal with enterprise applications, enterprise hardware? How many of you? Several of you. I'm actually working right now trying to make iDevices and BlackBerry work with Windows servers, and it's not a pleasant task. It's an enormous, enormous effort, and in spite of hundreds of people working and lots of time, it's still not there. When a Windows phone and a Surface would come in and go to work immediately. So why don't corporations jump all over this device? The word has not got out there. In spite of Microsoft's best marketing efforts, targeting enterprise corporations, targeting small business, the word's still not got out there. People still don't believe this thing is what it's said to be. So people like me going around saying, you really need to look at this. And trust me, I tell my employer every day, you really ought to take a look at this. And several of the people are. And those that have said, my Lord, this is fantastic. I didn't know this existed. Right. Right. I can actually get work done with this. Yeah, that's what it's about. Not only that, security. Administrator password for UEFI settings, on-screen keyboard display at startup for PIN entry, an option to disable booting from USB, already built into the UEFI settings that you can control on the device, and you can control it remotely, administratively, from your server location. An option to disable USB and card readers ports on the UEFI settings, and configurable secure boot policies to include third-party antivirus and encryption. It has all the stuff that I see enterprises working so hard to try to make work on devices that were never designed for it. It's built in, out of the box. No other software to be purchased, no other work to be done. Just go in. You can actually write a script to do this. So you can do it administratively, remotely, on all your devices. It's already there. You don't have to build anything for it. Just turn them on. Next slide. Enterprise connectivity connects to 802.11ac networks. Supports for Absolute Software's CompuTrace module for enterprise asset control. Enterprise kiosk control, you can lock down devices to specific apps, keystrokes, golden images via Windows Embedded. Very simple thing to do. Next slide. Here's the tech specs for the Surface Pro 3. And by the way, this presentation will be up on the website for the members. How many members do we have? Most of you. Those of you that didn't raise your hand, it's free. And you can see the presentation, which you'll be able to look at all these specs. I know it's a little hard to see. I apologize for the small type, but it will be up there. Posted as soon as Galen puts it up. He's already got the presentation. But it talks about here battery, 9 hours, web browsing. And the only thing they tell me that, Dave, as MVP, you have to say this. Battery life varies by usage and settings. Okay, I've said it now. But we'll have all this up there that you can look at all things. You've got i3, i5, and i7 processors. You can get 4 gigs, 8 gigs, 256, 64, 128, up to 512. In order to get the 256, you see over here, you have to get the 8 gigs of RAM. So, but, 8 gigs of RAM is nice. This has got 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig hard drive. Sweet. Sweet. Now, when that i7 comes, it's also going to have 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig hard drive, and it's going to be sweeter still. Next slide. Now, here's the Surface 2 specs. And I will reiterate again, the Surface 2 Pro is going away. The Surface 2 Pro is being replaced by the Surface 3 Pro. But the Surface 2 will still be produced. And here's the specs on the Surface 2. And you'll notice the battery here is up to 10 hours of video playback, 7 to 15 days idle time, charges in 2 to 4 hours. And actually, I think my wife's has a Surface 2, and hers charges in just under 2 hours from being dead. Because she's always forgetting to hook the battery up. And I go down there after 3 days, and she's been using it. And she said, my Surface won't come on. Plug it in. What? This thing here. Panos Panay asked me if there was anything that I didn't like. And I said, well, I'm not real fond about the way your power supply plugs in. And he said, why? Describe to me. And I said, well, the design is beautiful. It really is. It's artistic. You take that little thing and you just click it there. It's a magnet. It just clicks to the side. But I hate it. And he said, why do you hate it? I said, usually when I want to hook this thing up, I've got 3 other things I've got to do. And it takes me 5 or 6 times to get it lined up to click in there. Why don't you use a micro SD like everybody else? Or micro USB, I mean. He said, well, we'll certainly think about that. And I can tell you on the Surface 3, it is better. Still the same kind of hookup, but it goes on a lot easier. So, yeah, maybe. All right, Office 2013 RT comes on the Surface 2, including Outlook. The system software uses a significant amount of storage space, so available storage is subject to change based on the system software updates and app usage. And you have to look online. And right here we talk about the different ones. I recommend that you get a 128 and stick an SD card in. I've got a 64 gig SD card in here, and I've got a 256, so I've got all the room I need. Plus, I use OneDrive, and like I mentioned, I have a backup USB drive. So, next slide. So, do we have questions? Now, keep in mind that I am functionally deaf, so we have to make sure that I understand what you're saying. Yes, sir.
Looking for a great deal on Surface, running RT, not available online. Stores will have the original. I just bought 68 gig original with keyboard, with delivery, with tax plus $300.
Yeah, they've really reduced the prices down, and you're going to see those happening. I can tell you the Surface Pro 2s are still holding pretty high value because I wouldn't take less than $850 for mine, but I've got a docking station. So the docking station, some questions that you may not have formulated, but in other presentations I've done and other meetings I've been in, they've come up. Does the Surface 2 Pro docking station work on the Surface 3? No, it does not, for obvious reasons, because the Surface 3 is larger. And the docking station for the Surface Pro and Surface Pro 2 fits that smaller form factor. So no, that won't work. Will the keyboard from the Surface 2 work on the Surface 3? Yes, it will. But you do not have the larger touchpad available to you. You don't have the extra ergonomic keyboard moving up and clicking to give you a better typing experience, and some other factors that will be coming out later that I can't talk about will not be available to you using the present keyboard. So my recommendation is if you get a Surface 3 and you're going to do a lot of typing and use it as a true laptop replacement, you go ahead and get the keyboard. I think they're $129. In addition, the good news here is the pen comes as standard equipment with the Surface 3. And so the pen comes with it right in the box. Yes, sir.
When will they have 8.1 Pro?
For the Surface 3, it comes out of the box with it.
So it's the Pro.
Yeah, I'm running Pro on mine.
Do they have it for the phones?
I'm sorry?
Do they have it for the phones? I mean, I was looking at.
Well, I'm running it on mine.
Yeah.
Well, it's imminent. Its release is imminent. It's actually out. Some phones are actually being updated, depending upon your carrier, depending upon the manufacturer. And Nokia has already updated some of their phones. I actually got a message. I was in the developer preview, and so I've had it for the last couple of weeks, and I actually got the last couple of months, and been using it and providing feedback. Last week, a message popped up on my phone that said, from Nokia, your phone is already updated to 8.1, so you will not need to run an update. So some of the Nokia phones, and I use a 1520. Oh, by the way, we now have a card reader. If you need to use a card to pay for your dinner, we can do that again. It's running on my Windows phone now. The 8.1 is in the process of being rolled out now. The only limiting factor is your carrier and your manufacturer. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I had the problem before that we were talking about the keyboard, have it actually be a battery extension.
That's called the power board. The power board is available now for the Surface 2. You're looking at the October, November time frame. I think they may move that up to be available for the Surface 3. The power keyboard adds a good bit of weight and size. It's fairly thick. I thought about getting one. I really did, because it gives you like another 4 or 5 hours of power. But if you look at the increased thickness and weight, the Surface is already, you're wanting something that's light, fast, and it already gives you 9 hours. How much more do you need? Most places you fly on an airplane is not going to be 9 hours unless you're going to Australia. So my recommendation is, just go ahead and get your regular keyboard. But they're available for the Surface 2 and Surface Pro 2 now. Other questions? Yes, sir.
I'm curious as to how Microsoft runs focus groups for the new products.
Say that again when I get closer to you.
That's fine. Don't get too close. I'm curious as to how Microsoft runs focus groups for the new products, as to testing them and taking the feedback.
A lot different than they used to. The question is curiosity about how Microsoft runs focus groups relative to new products and how they get input and so forth. The TAP program, the Technical Adoption Program, is probably their first line that they look at. And TAP participants are companies that are Microsoft-centric. They're using Microsoft. They have been for a long time. They have a relationship with them. Varying sizes from small to medium businesses up to the enterprise. Most of the TAP participants are from the enterprise level, but there are people from the whole spectrum. There's also individuals, occasionally, that are allowed to participate in a TAP program. Usually those individuals are MVPs or MCTs, Microsoft Certified Trainers, people that have a relationship with Microsoft and the product groups themselves. The other thing they do now, they used to use groups like us a lot, but they really don't do that anymore. They mostly look at key groups that they have. I can tell you they use the MVPs a lot. I have anywhere from 3 to 10 product group interactions a month with various Microsoft, or at least invites. I don't attend all of them. I can't. But, I've got one right now tomorrow with the guys that write games. Microsoft writes a lot of games. And they have an open MVP, product group interaction, with all MVPs to come in and say, give us your opinion on this new way we've got of building a game. What do you think about it? You know, so you can attend all kinds of things. The Microsoft trainers, they use them a good bit. They used to. I don't know if they use them as much now. They have, at their events, they will have usually focus groups at the various events they have around the world. Tech Eds, they'll always have 6 or 8 or more focus groups from various product teams there that will ask people about things they're interested in. So those are the main ways that they get people in focus groups. Did I answer your question? Okay. Any other question? All right. Well, let's take a break, finish up the food, and have a bowel break, and we'll come back in 10 minutes. That is the Surface presentation. So for the next part of my presentation, I thought I'd share with you an experience I had last November when I was in Redmond. I had the opportunity to go to a restricted area on the Microsoft campus where they do design and research and development, and it was an amazing experience. I got to see where they have the 3D modeling machines. How many of you have ever seen a 3D modeler, a large one? Not many. I'm sorry? A what? Printer. Yeah, a 3D printer. And this was a very large one. They can produce some very large things with this. And they actually produced all of their mock-up designs for the Surface and their prototypes for the Surface in these things. And you're watching these things work and build up. You look at the computer screen of what they're printing, and you're seeing it built up. And then you can lift it out and hold it in your hand. It's just incredible. Whatever they change on its computer screen will get printed up in that machine. I was also able to see kind of where the technology is going. How many of you use webcams? We've all used webcams, right? The webcam's sitting on the top of the machine, even if it's built into your laptop. So you're looking at the screen, and so most of the time you're looking at somebody's forehead. You're not, when you're talking to them on Skype or whatever, right? Because the camera, you don't look into the camera because you're looking at them. So I sat down at a computer monitor, an LCD, and I'm talking to a guy across the campus, and there's no camera. I'm looking in the eye of the person on the screen, just like you talk normally to people, and he's looking in my eye, and we're talking to each other because the monitor is the camera. And it worked. Now, how many of you have had experience with 3D? You put on the glasses and all that. Okay. What if you didn't have to have the glasses? I had 2 experiences that were really remarkable from my standpoint, at least. The first one, there was just a computer there and a chair in front of it. And I was looking, and there was this scene playing out. And people walking around and, different things. And I said, what's remarkable about that? He said, sit in the chair. And when I sat down in the chair, suddenly they were all around me. They were here, and I felt like I could reach up and touch things. No 3D glasses. It was projected out from the screen itself. And take that one step further. We walked into another room, and there was a flat table. It was just a flat table and a wall. And I could see that there was like a picture of the solar system. And I said, what's the big deal here? He said, step up to the table. So I stepped up to the table. He said, put your arms out. And when I put my arms out, I heard something go, whoom. And he said, move the planet. I said, what are you talking about? He said, reach up. I reached up and got the planet, moved it over here, moved this and over there, and shifted this around and that around, and I made this noise as I did it. They had to drag me away from there because we used to stay. You take one step back and it becomes a flat wall again. Take one step up and you're suddenly immersed in this. You're immersed in the solar system. I mean, it's like you were flying. Stars and comets and the moon, and it was incredible. That's the kind of technology that Microsoft is playing with right now. And that was the lab where the Surface idea was formed and where the design happened. It was in that lab. And it's not, it's just a small place. I mean, you would think it's going to be really elaborate and everything. It's not. You got half a dozen people in there, men and women, that are just brilliant. And they sit around and look at things and why not? What if? They live in that. And Microsoft has got one other place, and it's a place for all the Microsoft employees. And it's really just a Maverick development lab. And you create anything you want. Actually, an after-hours thing, you go in and have a beer with your friends, sit around and talk, and then, why don't we create this? And they'll create software, they'll create hardware, they'll create all kinds of things. And some of the things they create actually get pushed out and work. One of them that I have used, it works great, and it's called a Mouse Anywhere. And you can find it on the web. And with Mouse Anywhere, I got a laptop here, and a desktop here, a Surface over here, and so I put Mouse Anywhere on these three machines, and I take this mouse and I move across all three machines, across all three screens. I'm operating three computers with one mouse. Clicking on this for this computer, that on that, and it works. They developed that in that lab, just sitting around saying, what if, why not? They do things like that all the time. So there's a lot of really, really great stuff going on, and it's all rotating around the Surface. All of that technology, all of those ideas and all that, they're just touching, this is the tip of the iceberg. Because I know, I've been doing something with Microsoft for 25 years, one way or another. And I know when they get their teeth into something, they don't let go. Yes, sir.
I think that program you're talking about is actually Mouse Without Borders.
I'm sorry.
Opposed to Mouse Anywhere, Mouse Without Borders.
Oh, Mouse Without Borders. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
What's nice with that is if you buy a really nice monitor, you get a big new modern monitor, they got 3 or 4 different inputs.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Uh-huh.
So you take your Surface, you put that in one, you take one PC, you put it in the DVI, you put another
Right.
in the VGA. Now to go from CPU to CPU, same mouse and
Yeah.
keyboard works.
All the way across.
All you do is you press the button that says, okay, switch me to the
Yeah. Yeah.
HDMI. And now your mouse and keyboard's working with your Surface.
Yeah.
And you don't have to buy one of those fancy.
And it didn't take you 2 hours to set it up.
Oh, it takes 10 minutes. All you
Yeah.
put in basically, as
And,
long as they're
and
all on the same
all the
network.
instructions are on the web.
Yep.
I
Put
mean,
in
yeah,
the name of the PC.
Yeah, Mouse Without Borders. Thank you for that correction. So take a look at it. And if you do a little deeper research, you see some of the other things they've created in this kind of a Maverick lab they have. I need to ask you, have any other questions of me? You can ask me questions about Surface, about Microsoft, about the user group, whatever. Yes, got him, then I'll come to you.
You talk to a lot of people, and I notice things you can't talk about. But all the magazines are bringing out a rumor that 9 is going to move up and be out this year. And the big one, what you do for your living, would have a huge impact. They're all saying now that Microsoft is going to make 9 a free upgrade. Have you heard any of those things from any official, unofficial source?
No and yes.
Okay.
The reason that Microsoft is entertaining, the question was, will Microsoft move up Windows 9 this year instead of as opposed to next year like they talked about? Because they set themselves on an 18-month release cycle. And so they were planning on releasing 9, next summer, the end of next summer or the beginning of next summer, somewhere in that time frame. But what happened was there's been a lot of the enterprise corporations that You know, Microsoft has been about business from day one. There's a lot of us, a lot of people consumers that use Microsoft products every day. Yeah, that's fine. But Microsoft came out of the blocks with business in mind, and they've always stayed that way. So they pay a lot of attention to their business customers, and they pay an enormous amount of attention to somebody that has 175,000 users, as you might imagine. So they listen closely. A lot of companies stayed with Windows XP until, the thing was a dead horse. And some people still using the thing. They would not go to any of the other iterations that have come out. But most of them have now migrated to Win 7. That's actually was my first job with Wells Fargo. I was responsible for all of Wells Fargo's international devices migrating from Windows XP to Win 7. And we completed that. So they're all on Win 7. Well, most enterprise corporations really have trepidations about going to the next new operating system. They want to wait until it's like 5 years old and everybody's just been bit by it and all the bugs have been fixed and so forth before they ever think about moving up. And I see some wisdom in that. They don't want the downtime. They can't afford the extra IT labor or whatever. They want to make sure when they put something on it, it's going to be solid for 10 years. Well, that's not the way the world works, and we know that as IT pros. And as IT pros, we are frustrated with the business people that want to do that, but they do. So Windows 8 comes out. It's a complete change in the paradigm. Okay, terrified every CIO in the country. Terrified them. So Windows 8.1 comes out. Well, it's a little closer to what we're used to with an XP Win 7 type of experience, but it's still not there. Even though it's got some great stuff, a lot of security, a lot of functionality, a lot of good things for the enterprise, in the minds of the CIOs, it still wasn't quite there. It didn't have exactly what we're looking for as an enterprise, which is more of the kind of things I talked about for enterprise security. And that was the keys, enterprise security. Well, Windows 9 is all about the business end, and primarily the enterprise end. So the Windows 9 is looked upon and regarded as going to be the enterprise operating system for the next several years, the Windows 9 and its iterations. Microsoft's making some very deep changes in that to accommodate what the enterprise wants, to be able to control things like what kind of applications you're going to put on it. Just like they want to control the device that they give you. They give me a BlackBerry, which I immediately put up on the shelf and haven't turned it on again. But they control that. You can't put applications on it. You can't do this. You can't do that. Blah, 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 blah. So to me, it's a useless device. But the normal user, make calls, attend conference calls, and so forth, get your email. That's fine. So they want that kind of control over the operating system for tablets, laptops, for phones. They want that. So you're seeing Microsoft not only thinking about releasing Windows 9 sooner. I have not gotten an official date. Not only are they doing that, but you notice also that they're looking at merging the Windows Phone and the RT into one operating system. And that operating system will incorporate more security, will incorporate one place to get your applications, and all those applications will be very, very secure. So it's all about security, functionality, flow of information, flow of productivity. So they're looking to merge the RT and the Windows Phone operating system. And that's probably going to happen this year. You had a question.
Yeah, I'm running Windows 7 and the latest Internet Explorer, and I have issues with that constantly. It just shuts down.
I-11.
What are they telling you about this?
Well, they're telling us stuff, but we're also telling them a lot. There's a lot of people having to use other browsers, such as Chrome, to go to many, many sites that Microsoft has locked you out of because I-11 doesn't look at various things that websites have. While it's a great idea to have the security and the functionality in a browser that Microsoft's built into it, the rest of the Internet world has not caught up. And so what you end up having is a very secure browser that can't open a website, or it can't do something, or the website where you could fill out a form before, you can't. And so you have to switch off and do something else. So the IE team I don't work with them. That is a product group that I don't really interface with, so what I get is secondhand from other MVPs that do work with that group. They are working feverishly to fix all of those little nuances to make it really cross-platform, not just from operating system, but cross-platform for website functionality. So a lot of different tools out there for building websites, and not all these tools are compatible with IE11. They were compatible with earlier versions, but if you recall, Microsoft got hammered a lot of times by browser infestation with malware. Well, IE11 is immensely more secure, but it's also made to work with the new operating system 8.1. So if you've got it, my recommendation to you, if you're running Win 7, go back to a previous version. You'll avoid a lot of the aggravation, and until Microsoft gets their act together so that the IE11 works backwards compatibility with Win 7 and gets those bugs worked out.
I can reload IE10?
There are some sites where you can get IE10.
There's one thing that I read that, like, it wasn't, like, with IE not displaying certain sites, I guess it's a security feature in there that they see some type of, maybe like some type of security vulnerability coming into play, right? And I think it's more in the application that the development team, if they set it so that the page does not display at all, if the browser recognizes that there is some type of intrusion. So they could either have it display or not have the site display.
Right.
So it may be more of the application of the whoever developed the site to have it function that way instead of actually Microsoft not displaying it at all.
There's a lot of different.
Mode helps a lot with that. A lot of those sites you can display if you put it in the list that's going to use compatibility.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's a lot of configuration ability within the IE options that you can go in there. If you go into privacy and security, there's a lot of things you can turn on and off. Now, Microsoft will recommend, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. That's just, and what he's talking about. They're helping you to accommodate those sites that they're here and IE11's here in the progression scale. And so you can accommodate by opening up these things, and you can also, as he said, identify specific sites that you will allow that to happen. So that site that's not opening for you, you can go into the privacy and security and you say, let this site do what it wants.
You don't even have to go in there. You can just go to compatibility mode.
Yeah.
Right-click.
Yeah, you can always use compatibility mode. Compatibility mode, if you have Win 7 compatibility mode, it turns some of those things off for you. So you might want to try that.
Now, the other thing is that Windows Explorer also keeps shutting down.
Sounds to me like you got more of a problem than yeah, I think maybe you might want to reinstall.
Turns off and then comes back on. It does.
That is suspicious behavior. That's suspicious behavior. One other thing that I wanted to, and I'll answer your question, one other thing I wanted to mention, there's been a lot of talk about the Surface Mini, the 7.5-inch Surface tablet. There was a statement flat out that Microsoft was not going to launch it. They were not going to have one. And then when they launched the Surface 3, in the manual that came with the Surface 3, it mentioned the Surface Mini. Well, that was kind of a slip-up. And the reason was they originally intended to launch the Surface Mini and the Surface 3 at the same time. And they didn't update the manual. The Surface Mini is not dead. That's really about all I can tell you about it. It's not dead. There is a strong possibility you will see a Surface Mini. I had a question over here, and I'll get back to you.
We talked about Windows 8 and potential free upgrade. Working in telecommunications and doing some experiments, I've noticed a lot of software companies, technology companies, are trying to push me or someone that purchases equipment software into a subscription model as opposed to, being able to pay for software, own it, pay for technology, own it. And it seems like Microsoft going down that path of 365 and some of the other things. Do you think they'll eventually force users to go to the subscription path?
Microsoft has been going down the subscription path for the last 9 years. They have been trying to go down that path. Because when you think about it, if someone has a subscription, you don't have to worry about all that backwards compatibility. You don't have to worry about the enormous headaches and effort that you have to put forward with supporting previous versions, because your customers, and particularly your enterprise customers, are always on your latest and greatest. The drawback to that is the consistency of release of iterations of the operating system is not there. While Microsoft is on an 18-month release cycle, they have a history of having various versions that work great and other versions didn't work so well. And that really for the next 2 to 5 years is going to hurt them in getting the enterprise to go with a subscription model for the operating system. They'll go with subscription model for online storage, cloud storage, and Azure features, these kind of things. But a lot of the enterprise corporations have their own setup now, their own data centers and so forth. And so Microsoft is actually competing against their customers in some ways. So it's arguable. If I were at Microsoft, I would drop it. I would keep it for some things, but I would not push the operating system because, number one, it's not the right time. The customers are not going to buy into it. And number two, until you get your act together and have consistent quality releases of operating systems that are always dead on solid like XP was, it's never going to work. Yes, sir. You had a question.
Get back to that mini. If you go on Bing News today, all the media outlets, if you type in Microsoft, they're all claiming they got it on good work, that Surface Mini is back in production out of China, and they're all saying, look for a late August release.
Well, I can tell you it was never out of production.
Whether or not that'll happen, or
Yeah, the media is saying it's back in production. It was never out. Let's see. Who else had a question? You had a question? Yes, sir.
Yeah, what about when the hype would be on the service?
You have to wait until I get close to you.
Yeah, what about when the hype would be? Hyper-V play well running on Surface 3?
Yes, it will. But get an i7 with 8 gigs of RAM.
Okay.
Yeah. It will. It won't be a star because 8 gigs is borderline. 16 is better, but you can't screw with it. So, yeah, you can do it.
I've noticed a lot of machines are doing that now. The Chromebooks, the MacBooks, the Surfaces are all in the point that you need to get a hands-off user.
Yeah, they're all going that way. And when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Devices are becoming throwaway. Okay, you don't keep one 20 years like you might have at one time. Yeah, I mean, you're spending $1,000 every 3 years, at the outside. Some people, the Surface 3 will be my 5th Surface, and they didn't come out that long ago. So, now,
we used to make fun of Apple because you couldn't change the battery. It seems that Microsoft has embraced that with open.
I had the opportunity to meet the guy who was responsible for the battery life of the Surface, and he is one of the most thorough people I've ever met in my life. I mean, he's absolutely committed to this. And when it says you can browse for 9 hours and have 5 days on standby, he's right. I have seen all of my Surfaces. I use the heck out of them and then put them up, come back the next day, open them back up, and still work a couple hours. The battery life on all of my Surfaces have been great.
But you haven't had one for 3 years.
I had my sister still using the first one I got back in March, and she said it's the best machine she's ever had. She's an accountant. She's a CPA. and she uses that thing. She runs a multi-million-dollar business of her own in Virginia, and she uses that Surface to keep all of her books and everything. She said, no, it's a Surface. It's not an RT. It's a Surface Pro. Surface Pro 1. So, you know, I'm amazed that she does what she does with it. Huge spreadsheets and all this stuff she does is incredible. But she says, I got rid of my laptop. I don't need it anymore. I use this all the time. She'd be walking along doing spreadsheets. So, and you know Diane, that little bitty woman that comes here and sings? She's the one. Other questions? Satiated the audience. Wait, I have one.
When they combine the Windows Phone and the RTF, will that, that will run on current devices just as well?
The RT combination of RT and Windows Phone, it'll only be on RT devices, because if you think about it, it's an ARM processor, and the Windows Phone and the RT, it's a natural come over, and also the RT is the one that has the LTE built in. So what the RT becomes is kind of like a big phone, a true tablet that is true mobile. So you're always connected. And you can look for that to happen imminently. It won't be long at all till you see the merge of those two operating systems. Yeah. Link's on a Windows Phone right now, and it's on RT right now. So I've used it. Other questions? I have sated the audience. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm humbled.